The ride-hailing firm Uber lobbied regulators and politicians to influence legislation, bypass regulations and avoid taxes, according to an international consortium of investigative journalists. Despite their folksy underdog pretensions, Uber had a raft of powerful support that they harnessed whenever it was needed. And in his former role as mayor, it's questionable how steadfast Boris Johnson was in his support of the taxi trade, but nevertheless, it is now common knowledge that he was bombarded by a series of threatening emails from senior officials at Number 10 and lobbied personally by the Prime Minister David Cameron and his Chancellor George Osborne. Meetings were set up for him to meet cabinet ministers and Downing Street officials who made it clear at the time that Uber's business interests were to be left alone. But what is particularly gruesome is that all of Uber's claims were uncritically repeated in the mainstream media. Corporations like the BBC were never interested in reporting accurately our side of the story. But again, was it any wonder considering the head of the BBC News at the time was James Harding, who just so happened to be one of George Osborne's closest friends. And remember when Osborne himself, as editor of the Evening Standard, gave Uber front-page commercial prominence on more than one occasion. Why wasn't his connection to BlackRock, the investment bank that has ploughed £500 million into Uber, exposed in the first instance as a conflict of interest? It's no coincidence either, is it, that the firm's senior vice president of policy and communications, Rachel Whetstone, was David Cameron's friend and former colleague. She was also the godmother to his late son Ivan. And around about the time of her appointment to Uber, the company met with George Osborne twice and with Business Minister Matt Hancock once. Yes, the Matt Hancock, who shamefully claimed in a newspaper article to have never heard of Uber until he got caught up in a protest organised by the United Cabbies Group. So basically, despite David Cameron's claim that we are all in it together, the fact is they were all in it together. And it casts a depressing light on the relationship between business, the media and politics in Britain. We now live in a corporatocracy. Whole societies are being set up for us to serve multinationals, banking interests and governments, where many politicians are fully on board the lucrative gravy train. Lobbying, revolving doors and the you scratch my back culture is endemic in modern British politics today, and it is all at the expense of the majority of citizens and a fairer society. You know the class war is alive and well when senior politicians decide to blatantly wage war on tax-paying small businesses who are the backbone of the British economy in favour of a loss-leading, monolithic international corporation with zero ethics. I, for one, am glad we stood up and fought back against the injustices inflicted on us by politicians, regulators, corporations and the media. And just a reminder that this fight isn't completely over, and we should all support those that are willing to seek out justice on our behalf. When all is said and done, Uber's business combines an exploitative labour model with a global tax structure that still robs the public purse of the tax revenue we all rely on to keep our society thriving. And where opposition to that is concerned, none of us should be willing to go silently into the night.